All right, let's go. All right. I want right off the bat. I want to talk about one of my best friends. I didn't know him very well. I call him one of my best friends. Was Rex Murphy.
He introduced you and Ron into the Canadian Walk of Fame.
And he walked out. And I never forgot this. He walked out and he reached in his pocket and he pulled it and he dropped a $5 bill. And he reached out and he picked up the $5 bill like it was nothing. And then he went on and he says, yeah, I just dropped the $5 bill and probably worth about, and he went on. And he was fantastic.
Yeah, he was just one of those guys that you get him on the camera and he'd just go and there wouldn't be an or an or anything.
Anything. And he was great. I hate to say this, but is that I wanted him to be one of my speakers at my funeral.
Oh, you wanted him to do the eulogy?
Yeah, eulogy or whatever you call it, and he was going to be and he said he'd do it. And here he is.
How old was he?
He's 78.
70. Wow. Well, that's not very old, holy smokes.
No, and
I think Canada could use him now.
Yeah, I think he'd say what he thought, and you wouldn't change his mind one bit. And he was a great guy. And he come from Newfoundland, same as Bob Cole. Boy, they speak their mind. When they speak their mind, they speak their mind.
Well, Dad, before we get into the playoff stuff, we'll talk a little bit about the Leafs. And Sheldon Keefe was fired.
Yeah. I don't know what to think of that. You got 2 years left. 2 years.
At almost $2 million.
Wow.
How much?
$1.95 million.
So can't you just take the money and rest on your laurels? And
that's what Babcock did.
Oh, why not?
That's what Babcock. Yeah, but he was a little different. He was 8 years.
8 years.
8 years. But I bet he gets another job.
Yeah, they said that New Jersey already asked permission because he's still under contract. They have to get permission, and New Jersey asked permission to the Leafs to talk to him. Brad Trevelling, he's the GM of the Leafs. They said, "Well, why did you give him an extension this year?" And because at the beginning of the year they gave him a 2 years.
He had to do something.
Yeah, he couldn't be a lame duck coach, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
I don't think
whoever gets him would have to pay him more than the $2 million to make it worth his while to go elsewhere. Would that be the philosophy that?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting if it's guaranteed.
Yeah,
because when you were with Colorado,
it was guaranteed.
It was guaranteed, but if you got another job, Colorado didn't have to pay you.
You're right.
So I'm wondering if the Leafs have to pay him even if New Jersey hires him.
I don't know. You'd have to check into his contract. I don't think so. Well,
it only makes sense. If you got another job, why would I have to pay you? This just doesn't seem right.
Oh, I don't know. There's a few out there. There are guys out there that still get money from.
Yeah, boy, everybody's jumping on the Leafs this year. It's Marner. Everybody's jumping on.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Well, he didn't.
He's good with the fans. He's good with everybody.
Yeah, but he doesn't perform that well in the playoffs. But my thing is and I'm maybe I don't like Keefe because of his junior days and cross-checking guys in the mouth and all that stuff. But I just think if you change that coach, like you and I were talking, Craig Berube would be good, but he might speak a little bit too mean to Marner, Matthews, and those guys.
You'd have to be careful. You'd have to not have that tone to his voice.
Yeah, he'd be good. He'd be pretty good.
Or Joel Quenneville, if he could get back, we'd like to see.
Well, he'd get back now.
Yeah. So
the Leafs, though, seem to be a team that you couldn't really yell at too much, or they would shut down. Is that me or what?
I always remember the guy that the coach told me that he went up and he said, and he was giving him a heck, and he said, I'll be here a lot longer than you.
Yeah, that's
there
true.
You go.
And it's true.
Right. Marner's, he's making 11, or Matthews making 12, or Willie's making how much? Are you gonna bench him?
No, you can't. You can't bench them. That's the big thing. You cannot bench them.
So who makes the call for the new coach? Is it the new guy, Pelly, or Shanahan?
I think they'd all get together and talk
yeah?
it over. And
I would think, though, that Trevelyan, though, he wanted to get his own guy in here.
yeah, I think so. Usually, when a general manager comes, they usually have their own coach in mind. And he's probably got a guy in mind right now.
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice. Hopefully, it'll be interesting to see who they get. And
Do you have a guy in mind? Who would you pick, Dad? Like if you were the big decision maker?
I wouldn't. This would be a tough team to coach.
it's just be one of those things. There's no doubt the Leafs are going to be 100-point team next year, and then going into the playoffs. That's the whole thing.
Let's just go over. They had Matthews out, which was the 79 goal scorer, and he at a crucial time. And then they had Nylander with the headache, with the migraine headaches, and that must have been terrible. Geez, that must be terrible, eh?
Yeah. I gotta say, I know you don't like spreading rumors, but somebody on our YouTube channel posted and said that he has a friend who's a friend of Mitch Marner's dad, and said that he heard that it was food poisoning that Matthews got.
Oh boy, I've had food poisoning.
Oh.
I had food poisoning, and I thought this is it. I'm dead. I would rather be dead.
And it took you a long time to get over it.
Oh boy, food poisoning is one of the worst things you can get.
Yeah, I remember you were at Wolf Island.
I was on Wolf Island, and I was bringing up blood.
I just, to me, everybody's saying, "Oh, get rid of the core four and all that." I say, bring in a new coach and see what's going on. Because if you trade, as you
you had to do something,
right? But you have said, if you trade Marner, which seems to be the guy they're going to trade, you're never going to get value.
You're
from
never going to get the full value out of him, because you are going to the guy to trade, and that's a bad sign. I don't know, boy.
That's always the interesting thing, Dad. And I've asked you this before. Is it the job of the general manager to build a team that the coach wants, or is it the job of the coach to coach the team that the general manager builds? Because Harry built the team you wanted.
Yeah. Well, he knew the team I wanted. The big thing is that him and I were both going together. We had our meeting in a Chinese place, and I remember him saying, "Look, use me as a heavy." And I said, "You sure, Harry?" And
but like Harry went and he got you John Wensink. He drafted LC Cord.
I remember when I got John Wensink. We went to St. Louis. Terry O'Reilly was sick. He had the flu. He really, really was sick. I brought him tea and all that stuff. We didn't have a tough team. We were supposed to be tough, but we weren't tough. I had one guy on the team that I had to get cattle prods to get off to go on the ice. Anyhow, it was Bob Gashoff. He was running around. He was spearing guys. And Cindy, tell a story. Tell a story that you thought he was the cutie pie.
Well, I go back to that story where we were at a game and Mom and I got tickets, and somehow we ended up sitting right along the glass, and Bob Gassoff, I thought he was a young cutie patootie. He had the long blonde curly hair, blue eyed, and he got in a fight with that Durbano, and he grabbed that beautiful blonde hair and smashed his face against the glass and everything. I just couldn't get over it, and I didn't think he was a tough guy, but you and Tim set me straight yesterday. You said he wasn't that young and he wasn't a cutie patootie. He was a tough guy.
Well, he might have been cute, but he was pretty tough.
He
he was cute.
He didn't look tough.
Here's the funny thing is, tell a story. Go ahead.
Well, and we were quite upset because, the blood was all over the glass. It was right in front of us.
Yeah, because I was there. Well, what happened was that Durbano was fighting, and he grabbed Gassoff by the hair and started smashing his face into the glass.
Right in front of us, on his nose, and just splat. So after the game, I remember it was an afternoon game.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was an afternoon game, and we're after, and Dad goes, "Okay, well, let's go out for some dinner." Mom and I had such a headache. We were so upset.
Yeah, I know you said, no, I think we'll go to our room.
Yeah, that was it for us. We were done for the day.
We were at a bar.
Yeah, and that was it. And you just wait a minute. I went through that for 15 years, going through that type of fighting, and you guys never said a word.
This week later.
Yeah.
I figured it out.
I go, yeah, but we were always high up. We never knew what was going on that close to the ice. I mean, oh my goodness.
And I got one in the eye.
Oh, yeah, you had that one fight. Oh my goodness. Remember what Mom said? I didn't think a human fist could do that much damage to someone. But
yeah, she thought it was kind of funny. Anyhow.
What about Gas Off? So how did we get on Gas Off?
He was running around, and that's when you asked Harry to bring up.
And I remember I went to Harry after that game, and I said, have I ever asked you anything personally? He just kept saying no. I said, have I ever asked you anything personally? Well, I'm asking you personally right now. Let me have John Winsink. And I said, believe me, nobody will be running around like Kassoff was. And we went on. By golly, got him.
Yeah.
And John had a ticket to go to I don't know, some lower league. Anyhow.
Port Huron, I think.
He was going to some lower league, and
imagine him getting the call that he's now going to go to the Boston Bruins, and he's heading down in a Southern
But even
league.
made it worse is that I had Doug Gibson, which was leading the league.
Leading scoring. So there goes to show you, Harry, as your general manager, said, I'll get you the tough guys. And they say he drafted Al Secord, he drafted Stan Jonathan, he got you John Wensink. So Harry's mentality was, I'll get you the team you want, but you have to win. Because I don't think Harry liked the skilled guys.
He liked skilled guys. And I like the animals.
He liked the grinders. So that's the thing. If Trevelyan gets a coach, you're going to say, is it Trevelyan saying, these are the guys I'm going to get, and you're going to have to coach them? Or does the coach say, no, this is what I want to do?
Well, I have an idea that Keith wanted a tough team. And because that's the way he played it tough.
Yeah, he was kind of like a Marchand.
Marchand, yeah.
He was like a Marchand in junior hockey.
But why doesn't Shanahan have a tough team? He has the thing of,
that's
he
the
played
one
tough.
thing I don't understand.
I don't understand why he has such a sweetheart team when he wasn't a player like that, and his team reflects that.
I don't understand it. Cindy, I'll never understand that as long as I live. I remember him crawling off the ice with a broken ankle.
Yeah.
And
he's a survivor, though. I mean, how long has he been with the Leafs? He's always under the radar, it seems.
He's got something going for him.
Okay, enough about the Leafs. Everybody's saying, I'm sick of talking about the Leafs. Everybody.
Yeah.
So the big thing is, we want to talk about the Canucks and the Oilers, the big Canadian thing. That's a little bit of a surprise.
My personal opinion is McDavid should shoot more. As soon as he gets the puck, he starts looking for somebody to pass it to. I think he should try to score more.
So you're saying he's got to be more selfish.
You got to be more selfish. You got to be more selfish.
You got to drill out the Canadian Hockey Canada mentality in him to pass first, shoot later. Yeah, he's. It goes to show you, if in game one he didn't get a shot on net.
Yeah.
And if him and Draisaitl don't score, they're not winning.
They're not winning. They are like Matthews and Nylander and the whole bunch of them. If they don't perform, they showed up the second game.
So I think too. You and I were watching a little bit of the game. It's on so late, the Western games.
Yeah.
But
I watched right to the end.
Yeah. Skinner's not the Oilers goalie. Skinner's got to play better.
You got to play better. Whatever goaltender plays the best, you're sure win.
Guy flying under the radar there is Pettersson for Vancouver. Signed a big contract this year. He's got 1 goal. He's their biggest minus on the team at -3, and he's just got to get going.
I don't know. Sign those guys for a lot of money. Yeah, and they got the money in the bank, and it's guaranteed. I don't know.
So who are you going to pick in that? I think the Oilers are going to take that in maybe 6 games.
Well, I don't want to start picking. I've done pretty good so far.
Yeah, you have been pretty good.
I've done pretty good so far. You're going to have. It gets a little dicey when you get into the second round.
Yeah, and you and I, and Cindy and I, we were talking how the first round of the playoffs was kind of a dud, I thought, game-wise.
Well, usually it's the other way around.
And then the second round has been fantastic.
The opening games in the playoffs are usually the best games, and they usually let them go. And then they get the word from I don't know who they get the word from, that's cracked down on the second round. And then the second round, usually the
second round, they usually start calling. But I know you don't like talk about the refs, but I think the refereeing this year has been. It's usually not that great in the playoffs. It's been terrible, I think, this year. That penalty in overtime against the Carolina Hurricanes to lose that game, there's no way Carolina should have lost that game.
Oh.
And the referee to call a chintzy penalty in overtime for New York to win.
Yeah.
Well, can we say what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, we're watching the game, and you said there's no doubt that the NHL wants New York to go far.
Well, I said... I'm not saying they're cheating for New York, but I'm saying
they're rooting.
They're rooting for New York.
And that might not filter down to the high-ups of the refs. Who knows? Because some of those penalties were just I think the hardest job of the whole team of the NHL is the poor replay guy to pick out where the penalty was.
Yeah.
A guy's going, okay, where
there
was it?
There was one there he didn't pick out. And I said, I want to see this penalty.
And they probably didn't know which one it was.
And he didn't know, and he never picked it out.
No, they were just go, oh, well.
Aren't they going to show it? They said, they don't know which one it is.
And he did not show it because he didn't know which one it was.
No. So
he didn't want to pick out the wrong penalty.
No, but that was like we were watching that Boston game and that Florida and game 3, the first game back. And the Bruin guy was cutting into the net. Florida guy, defenseman, pushed him into the net. And then the Bruin guy got the penalty. But I got to ask you, Dad, we were watching that. Florida's up 2-1 now. And the Bruins were just awful that game. And I asked you, if you're watching a team, your Bruins play like that, what do you do as a coach?
Well, I play the fourth line a lot. I could tell... But when the first 3 or 4 shifts, you could tell they were just not. I know it's hard to believe, but the players sometimes aren't interested. They're just not interested, and so. But the fourth line is always interested.
So if you see that, do you change your strategy within the first 5 minutes of the game?
Yeah, I sure do.
Really?
I play the third and fourth line. Of course, our third line was...
Yeah, three 20-goal scorers. So.
Yeah, but they were guys that we had to work at.
So let me ask you a question. So you didn't shake up the lines like Keefe does. You just played the third and fourth line more.
I just played the third and fourth line.
Because I asked you about the coach of the Leafs. Like, he still doesn't know the lines. The lines have no regularity.
He's gone now, so I don't want to criticize him.
Pastrnak and Tkachuk went at it. What did you think of that?
I didn't think much of it. I don't like a real fighter fighting a guy that does not fight. Well, he's what is Pastrnak?
He's had 2 fights in his career.
Yeah, and he's been.
That was the second one.
Yeah,
but he didn't back down.
No,
I just thought that was the end of the game 2. I thought game 3 that would really charge up the Bruins.
Yeah,
but they were horrible.
But don't forget, Marchand is hurt. Yeah. And when you have the spark plug hurt, and you look to him, and when he's hurt, it hurts you.
Yeah, I'll tell a quick funny story that in that fight with Pastrnak, Tkachuk and him were talking when the refs, and you could see they kind of made the thing. Okay, next time we're going to go out, we're going to fight. And even Pastrnak said to the coach Montgomery, and I'm going to go out and fight. He says, "You sure you want to go out and do this?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm going to go out." But I remember when you were coaching Colorado, there was a fight. And so Mike Christie, who was, I think he was the assistant captain, and was there, and he was talking to Danny Gare for Buffalo.
You know how the referees, how the referees go over and talk to 2 captains and tell them what's happening. They, yeah, all right, and they turn around and go to their coaches. But go ahead, Tim.
So there, you could see Danny Gare getting a little more animated, complaining to the ref, and then Mike Christie's getting more animated, talking to the ref, and then they're talking to, and the next thing you know, they drop the gloves right in front of the ref, and they start throwing bombs, and there was a funny picture with Mike Christie.
Oh, it was a funny picture, and it shows his face right up against the glass.
Right.
And he said, "That never happened." I said, "Well, there's the picture." But wasn't he a great guy?
Oh, yeah, Mike Christie. Yeah, he
Mike,
was salt of the earth. And every time, we told the story before, but every time he stepped on the ice, Cardi Ashima let in a goal. And
Every time.
He was like, what was he, like minus 30 or something?
Yeah, like minus 38. and I tried to hide it. And he was just he was in my office for some reason. I don't know what he was in there for. And he just happened to turn the page over. Minus 38. How could I be minus 38? I didn't.
Most coaches would give their player heck, and you were like trying to save him. You were consoling him.
He says, every time I step on the ice, he said that Hardy Astrom lets in a goal. And by God, next game was in Winnipeg, I think. And sure enough, he just stepped on the ice, and Hardy let in one of his super goals that skipped along the ice and went in. And I can still see Mike Christie up against the glass. What in the world is going on here?
Minus 39 now. That in Sydney, the playoffs are here, and there's never a better time to bet on your favorite Canadian team with your favorite Canadian sports book, NorthStarBets.com. They're a proudly Canadian brand and one of the best places in Canada to play. NorthStarBets.com has everything you're looking for, a sports book with built-in insights and analysis, slots, live dealer tables with exceptional customer service. Get into the playoff action now at NorthStarBets.com, and NorthStarBets.com is not available in Ontario. And you've been picking the teams pretty good, Dad. So
yeah.
It's funny how you picked both teams that were played in Game 7, and you think, well, they would be tired, right, playing the game in the next round, and they both won, Boston and
yeah, that was the best game Boston ever played.
That's the best game. Then they've gone downhill after that. So some sad news, Dad, in hockey world. Ronnie Ellis,
and along with Rex. I don't know. I can't believe that Rex is gone. I really can't. Ronnie Ellis. I remember the very first. The only time I practiced with the Leafs. All the guys in the American League. We practiced before, because if you practice before, you can get out in the golf course, and that's what they.
So the Maple Leafs, they practice first.
Yeah, they practice
so they can
first.
get out and hit the golf courses.
Yeah, they can get out the course.
So you were in Rochester, right? At the
I
time?
was in Rochester, and
so this was in the training camp. Where do the Leafs have their training camp?
Peterborough, and we stayed at the Embassy Hotel. I don't know if it's still there or not. So I was practicing first, and he told her, and it was on the bulletin board, don't hit Ellis. But nobody told me. So Ellis is coming down, and I shouldn't say I didn't like him. He was in the paper. Well, I think I'll go to college, and I think I'll this stuff and everything. And here
you sort of resented it.
I resented it because I'd give anything to be with the Leafs. And here's this guy saying he might go college and sort of hemming and hawing. And here he comes with his head down, and he didn't expect to get hit, and I hit him, and he punched his watch, and he said, "Get that 50-cent hockey player off the ice with that $1 million hockey player." I must have been nuts back in those days. I broke my stick and fired it, so threw it at him, and everybody, "What happened, Don?" "Oh, never mind." Never mind.
So that was your last shot?
That was my last gasp at making the National Hockey League.
Yeah, with Ronnie Ellis, the one thing that I always kind of thinking that he played in the 72 Summit Series.
Yeah.
And he was one of the few guys that played all games in it. And he was with Clark and Henderson for most of the things.
He wasn't on for the winning goal, though.
No, I think
Phil was on.
Phil was on that. And then so the thing I found interesting was Ace Bailey, who was the Toronto Maple Leaf guy that Eddie Shore almost killed.
Yeah,
remember?
He almost killed. He had the last rights.
Had his last rights, thought he was dead. And then the Leafs retired his number. What number was he?
Number 6.
Number 6. And then Ellis was wearing number 8, and Ace Bailey thought so much of Ronnie Ellis. He says, unretire my number, and I want Ronnie Ellis to wear it.
Isn't that
Yeah,
great?
and that's nice. That's how nice a guy he was. In fact, he was with the Players Association, I think.
Yeah, and he had a lot to do with the Hockey Hall of Fame and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
so he was with the Leafs the whole time.
Yeah. You could just say something like a true blue Leaf or something.
He's from New Liskeard. He played his whole career with the Leafs and one team, and he had one Stanley Cup. And that was the last year they had it, I think. They had 57?
67.
67? Then he knows more about that than I do. He played his whole career with the one team, which doesn't happen too often.